Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belford talking to some of the country's biggest stars, some of my favourite people, and fascinating people too. Nicholas Danes, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's so nice to talk to you. We've been speaking for a couple of years and you've been avoiding me. What's the problem? You don't like gingers? You didn't want to meet up? What happened?
No, I did. It's just a matter of fixing our schedules so that actually we're in the same place at the same time. That's the problem.
And that's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, tomorrow you're off to LA, you've just flown in from Africa. You have the most extraordinary life, and we're just going to start at the beginning. I mean, you're a stuntman, you're a guy who loves ecology and the world and animals. You're also an Olympian and an athlete. You're also a stud muffin approaching 50 and all of this. It's an amazing life you've got. What a remarkable career.
It's definitely a mix, yeah. And I think my whole career has just been basically made of being physical, really. You know, I started off as a gymnast, and then I went into stunt work, and I've been jumping off buildings, being hit by cars ever since. And even with the modelling, it's all sort of a physical thing. With the Speedo range that I've just been launching, it's about, me being physical and using my body in a good way.
And it's interesting, I mean, we've just been talking about age and turning 50. It seems to me you're living the life of a 20-year-old, and you look like it, and extraordinary. For those wondering, how do you achieve that? Is it daily torture in the gym?
No, I think it's the fact that I've just never stopped. So even when I was competing internationally, since then, I've not stopped doing the gymnastics, and I've not stopped doing the diving. It's not because I have to or it's anything like that. It's just because I want to. I love it. Keeping fit and being physical, that's who I am. So I think that's it. And I think they've actually proven now that if you keep working and performing to a really high level, then, you know, the cells kind of regenerate themselves and keep you young and fit. And that's sort of where I am, I think.
See, that's the problem. I was always ugly and a chubby, sort of fat kid, and then you're sort of fighting against it your whole life, really. I suppose you were always physical because from a really early age you wanted to be a star of sport. It's interesting that you achieved that and you've gone on to other stuff and been in some of the biggest movies doing completely the other end of show business. But at the root of all this is discipline, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and I think that stems from the gymnastics, which is definitely discipline and focus. That's what that sport teaches you. So I've had a good grounding in that.
And show business, how did you get interested in that? Because, I mean, you've done panto and theatre and all this stuff and worked with a ton of people forever. How did you go from sort of jumping on a trampoline to ending up next to Leslie Grantham?
Well, it was actually when I was growing up, Dallas and Dynasty were my biggest influences. And when I looked at those programs, I always saw glitz and glamour, and that's what I associated the entertainment business with. Little did I know I'd just be like jumping on a trampoline with Leslie Grantham, but you know, it was the glitz and glamour that I sort of aspired to. And even though in reality there's nothing really that glamorous about the entertainment industry, apart from some of the parties you might go to outside of work. But it just stuck. It struck a chord, and it was like, you know, I didn't want a 9-to-5 job, and this way I could get paid for doing what I love, which is jumping around.
Is it fun being you? I mean, tomorrow you fly out to LA to work on another movie. Are you allowed to tell us what that one is?
I can't, actually. No, I've just finished on Cats, I can tell you that. That was a good one. That was a really amazing star-studded cast with Taylor Swift and Idris Elba and Judi Dench. And I'm very friendly with Judy because she does the wildlife stuff as well. She's just had a documentary out today on Borneo, and I work in Borneo a lot as ambassador for an orangutan charity.
I was looking at those pictures earlier, and we're going to get to the wildlife stuff in a minute. As a stuntman, are you often on set at the same time as the people that you're doing the hard work for, or is it done afterwards and cut in?
It depends on what capacity you are doubling. If you are the lead double for that actor, then you're working with them very closely, and yes, you're on set with them the whole time, and you're doing everything with them, taking them through the moves, making sure that they're safe, whilst, you know, preparing yourself to do actually the big action stuff.
And just give us some names. We're going to drop these names all over the floor louder than a phone book, but I mean, you've really worked with everybody, haven't you? It's incredible.
Yeah, I've doubled Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, and a lot of big celebrities, and it's just a very diverse business. There's so many different styles of performance that are in this industry, and that's what I love doing, different things on a daily basis.
I always ask the question to all big megastars who are given a gig, why you? Why do you think they pick you and not me, for example?
Well, unfortunately, I think it's because I'm short, and I always double the small actors. Although Tom Hardy wasn't small, it's just that I was jumping off a cliff for him, so you can't really tell with that perspective.
Is there anything you'll say no to? I mean, you've done some incredible stunts, and if you go on your website, which is incredible to see all this stuff that you've done, I mean, whether it's fire or jumping off buildings, nothing seems to intimidate you. Is that really the case?
Yeah, I pretty much will do anything. Jump off buildings, get set on fire, hit by cars. I've done a broad spectrum of stunt work through my whole career. In fact, I've probably done everything: fight scenes, cars. So I don't think I would say no to anything.
And what's interesting as well is, of course, that it is dangerous. I mean, I always say to magicians, when you're being chopped in half, it's a trick. Yeah, it's a trick providing you know how to do it. There must have been hairy moments where you go, is this really worth the money? Because you are putting yourself in danger to make these things look as spectacular as possible.
Absolutely, and even the simplest stunt can go wrong. So if you're jumping off a building or doing something very simple, it doesn't mean that you aren't going to get hurt. And yeah, you take your life in your hands every single day. My first ever stunt job, I almost drowned. It was for a cigarette commercial, and I had to go over a waterfall and deliberately capsize the canoe, and the white water held me under and I almost drowned. But it didn't put me off. It just, that's what I'm made of. That's who I am, and it's just led me on to do more and more.
And I guess the thrill of the chase is what keeps you at it, to do the next biggest stunt, the biggest, most spectacular movie you can do. Is that part of the adrenaline of it?
I think it's more the fact that I that is who I am. You know, I'm very spatially aware in time and space. So if I am jumping off a building with multiple somersaults, I do know where I am, so I am able to sort of land safely. I don't just chase the rush. It's what I do. I am able to just orientate myself in time and space, that I know I can do these things quite safely.
And what's amazing about you, as we say, we've got this part of your life, we've talked about the athletics, we're going to get to the wildlife, and then there's the pants as well. I mean, people like to look at you, you're a nice bit of trouser. When did this become a thing? Because this range has done really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a diver, and I still compete for Great Britain in the Masters diving. So I'm always wearing Speedos, and this company, Smithers, approached me to do some modelling for them, and it's just been great, and I don't mind getting my kit off at all, especially in something that I'm so comfortable in anyway. I mean, I think Speedos are having a resurgence anyway, so I'm quite happy to be the face of that.
I've been asked to do a campaign for a budgie smugglers company, and they think it'd look nice. I'll get some tips from you later, because I'm sure, you know, with a good bit of lighting, we could look similar, I suppose.
Budgie Smugglers, that's a good brand. You could do that.
No, I think I'll leave that to you if that's all right. And then on to things that are really important, the world and saving it. I mean, you really work so hard at this, and I guess it's probably the least profitable bit of what you do and the most inconvenient, because you've got to go over to Africa, but you spend so much time working with the animals. How worried should we be about our Earth? Because it seems to me every time we turn, I was just talking about the straws and now going from plastic to paper. Plastic has never been talked about more, and we've never been more concerned, have we?
No, and we really are at crisis point with the planet and plastic the way it is in our seas, and also the endangered species that we have, which are literally on death's door if we don't do something now. And I've been very motivated in raising awareness and educating, especially of the next generation, which are the ones that are going to have to pick up the pieces to really undo the mess that we've made.
And at your age now, I guess it's time that you can help using your profile, your website, your other work to draw attention to this, because let's face it, it's not very sexy to talk about plastic straws, but again, there's a serious underlying concern that if the oceans are full of them and the animals can't breathe and the circle of life stops, we're all finished.
Oh, absolutely, and it's about the bigger picture and the fact that by saving them, we're saving ourselves. Even with the rainforest situation with the orangutans, for example, these are free, wide-ranging creatures that feed on many different types of shrubs and plants and fruits within the forest. So by looking after the rainforest and their needs, which in turn looks after us as for the climate regulating process that they play in our survival.
You've got an amazing life and career, and one of the most fascinating people I've ever met, truly. I mean, to have such a diverse and successful career. LA tomorrow, then what have we got in the diary?
At the moment, I've just been coordinating all the stunts on Secret Cinema, so you can go and see that. That's in London right now. And then after that, I will be starting on Fast and Furious. I'm doing some on the new Fast and Furious 9 as of Monday. So it's a quick flying visit to LA and then back on set on Fast and Furious. Is
it still sort of a pinch me moment when you're stood next to a megastar? Because movie stars are the last bit of show business we can't quite get to, most people anyway, unless you're Graham Norton. I mean, there's still a sexiness around it, isn't there? There's still an allure of the big screen. It must be thrilling to be around those people.
It is. It's just a very interesting business to be part of, but they are just people, you know. We're all just flesh and blood, and I think, you know, working with the wildlife stuff, that sort of really brings that home. It's like, you know, it might all sound like the be all and end all, but actually the bigger picture is much more sobering, and I think I'm quite grounded in that respect. So yeah, it's fun, but you know, I don't get distracted from the real messages that we should be promoting.
Congratulations on everything. Let's talk again and keep us updated with what you're doing. Such a fascinating life and career. Congratulations. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much.